there were many AI programs that could beat world champions at games, things like chess, but they were done with what's called expert systems. So they were systems where a team of smart programmers with a team of smart, in that case, chess grandmasters, came together, tried to distill the knowledge the chess grandmasters have into a set of rules and heuristics. And then the programmers would build a system, kind of a brute force system, that would use a lot of compute, like on a supercomputer, like IBM did with Deep Blue, to beat Garry Kasparov, and they would sort of encapsulate the rules they were given by the chess experts. And then the system would sort of dumbly execute those rules and heuristics and do millions and millions of searching of moves, and then try and work out against those heuristics which is the best one to do. Now, the thing with that is, for me, that was not satisfactory when I saw that in the 90s. I was doing my undergrad at the time. I didn't feel like that was proper AI, because that system, let's take Deep Blue, okay, it's world champion level at chess, but it can't do anything else. Not only can't it do, language and robotics or any of those kind of things, it can't even play a strictly simpler game like tic-tac-toe, right? So something's obviously not quite right about the definition of intelligence, right? In the sense of like no human, you could imagine a human grandmaster not being able to learn how to play tic-tac-toe. It would make no sense because it's strictly simpler. So there's something sort of wrong about its generalization capability and the fact that it didn't learn. It was just given the answer, right? So if you could ask for something like Deep Blue, where did the intelligence reside of the system? Well, it wasn't in the system. It was in the minds of the chess grandmasters and the programmers. They solved the problem of chess and then implemented the solution. The program just dumbly executed the solution. Now, Go, as you mentioned, is the sort of final frontier for games. It's the most complex game humans have ever invented. It's also the oldest game, so it's just amazing in many ways. And it's also very beautiful. So in Asia, where they play it, in China and Japan, Korea, instead of, it takes sort of, they play it instead of chess, basically, occupies that intellectual echelon. But it's a much more intuitive game, sort of artistic game almost. So you play patterns that look beautiful and they turn out to be, really strong, which is why the game has a little bit of a mystical element to it, like almost encapsulate, the top Go players would say to you, encapsulates the mysteries of the universe in the game. I think that's how the ancient Chinese thought about it. And so, and also just its raw complexity, as you mentioned, has more possible ball positions, 10 to the power 170, than there are atoms in the universe. So what that means is there's no way you can brute force it in the way that we did with chess. And furthermore, because the game's so intuitive and so esoteric, there aren't really these rules that you can encapsulate easily for a machine to follow. So when you talk to a Go master, unlike a chess master, they'll tell you things like, oh, why did you play there? They'll say, it felt right. Okay, but as a chess player will never say that. They would say, like, I did it because I'm calculating this, and then they'll tell you the calculation. So that intuitive feeling is obviously very hard to encapsulate in a system. You can't really program that directly. So it's the perfect proving ground, I would say, for these new techniques that we were pioneering in the early days of DeepMind, of deep reinforcement learning. Can you build systems that learn from themselves directly from experience? So in the case of AlphaGo, AlphaGo started by looking at all the games on the internet that humans have played and learning the types of moves humans would do. But then we overlaid it with a Monte Carlo tree search that allowed it to sort of discover new branches of the tree of knowledge, if you like, in Go, starting with what humans knew and then going beyond that. And that's what we hoped was going to happen. So the amazing thing about that match, which was ended up being watched by 200 million people around the world, was that not only did we win the match 4-1, that was the main objective, but in game 2, specifically, it played this famous move 37 that you talk about, this creative move that was it was on the 5th line of the board and early in the game, and it's sort of a big no to do that in Go, right? Like Go, if you were being taught by a Go master, they would slap your wrist playing on that because it's just regarded as a bad move. And but not only was that a great move, it ended up winning the game for AlphaGo. Like 100 moves, 200 moves later, it was in the right place, as if it sort of presciently put the stone there. So it was the critical. Not only was it a surprising move, it was the critical move for later for it to be exactly in the right place to decide the game. So obviously it's changed the way all Go players play Go, but for me it was the moment I'd been waiting for, in terms of building a system that we'd already spent 6 years by then building these types of learning systems that could achieve something no other system could. This sort of Mount Everest of games AI, the final frontier, if you like, of can you beat the Go world champion? But also, not only did it win the match, but it was how it won. And with these creative new ideas like Move 37. And that for me was the signal that we were ready to turn it to scientific problems like AlphaFold.
To say this back to you, the reason why it's important that this audience that wants to understand the future, understand what